If you're a basshead, you have two great options to choose from right now. There's the brand new Skullcandy Crusher ANCs, which have better performance and more features than the Skullcandy Crusher 360s. And then there's the Sony XB900N, which are just a great pair of mid-range ANC headphones that just happen to have a lot of bass. You can't go wrong with either one of these, but depending on your needs, one is going to be better than the other. Now, obviously, the first thing a lot of people are going to take into consideration is their price. The Sony XB900N retail for $250, whereas the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs retail for $320. That's a $70 difference. But if you want to pick either of these headphones up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to learn more about either of these headphones, please watch the full reviews because we're only going to be going over the main differences here. Now, the first thing to take into consideration here is that the Sonys come included with a carrying pouch, whereas the Crushers come included with a hard shell carrying case. Now, when you're spending more than $300 on a pair of headphones, a decent hard shell carrying case is to be expected. So if you're a constant commuter or student, you can cram the Crushers into your backpack and not have to worry about them. Whereas with the Sonys, if you do plan on commuting with them, I highly recommend you use some of your $70 savings and get yourself a hard shell carrying case. But now let's talk about fit, because this can be a differentiating factor for the majority of people here. Hands down, the Sony XB900N are way more comfortable to wear than the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs. And there's a few reasons for that. First off, the Sonys are significantly lighter than the Crusher ANCs. The Crusher ANCs weigh in at a hefty 310 grams, whereas the Sonys weigh in at 250 grams. And you'd be surprised at how noticeable this 60-gram weight difference is, especially when you're walking around with these headphones on. But also, the difference in ear pads here play a big role when it comes to comfort. First off, my ears feel less cramped with the Sonys than they do with the Crushers. And that's because the ear cups on the Sonys are more spacious than the Crushers, but they're also slightly slanted, so they rest more naturally on your head. But also, the padding on the Sonys is noticeably softer, and the leatherette feels better than the leatherette found on the Crushers. So overall, comfort-wise, the Sonys are way better than the Crushers. I think the Sonys are going to fit most people just fine, and you can wear them for hours on end and forget that they're there. If you're looking for a pair of headphones to constantly travel with, or if you plan on watching a lot of movies with them, then I highly recommend the Sonys over the Crushers. Like I said in the full review, the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs just aren't the most comfortable headphones out there. You never forget that they're there, and I constantly find myself having to readjust them. Regarding tech specs, both of these headphones charge via a USB-C port, and since it's late 2019, they better. But they also both have very decent battery lives. The Skullcandy Crusher ANCs have an advertised battery life of 24 hours, whereas the Sonys have an advertised battery life of 30 hours. Real-world use, I can go about a week and a half in between charges with the Crushers, and I can go about 2 weeks in between charges with the Sonys. Nonetheless, both of these headphones have good battery lives. But the Crusher ANCs simply outperform the Sonys when it comes to fast charging. If you plug these headphones in for 10 minutes, they're going to get you 3 hours of playback time, whereas the Sonys are only going to get you 1 hour of playback time from that same 10-minute charge. So yeah, if you're ever in a rush to go somewhere, then the Crusher's rapid charge can definitely come in clutch if you're ever caught with a dead battery. Now, I don't know about you, but these days I'm kind of used to everything just having better fast charging. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, both of these headphones can only be connected to one device at a time. Now, Skullcandy claims that these headphones can be connected to 2 devices at the same time, but I haven't actually been able to get them to hot swap. So personally, I don't even bother pairing them to a second device. But when it comes to watching videos or movies with these headphones, the Crusher ANCs are better than the Sonys because they don't have any latency when watching YouTube videos on an iPhone. Now, the latency when watching YouTube videos on an iPhone with the Sonys is very minimal and easy enough to ignore, but technically it is still there. But for everything else like HBO, Netflix, or whatever, they're both perfectly fine whether you're using an iPhone or Android device. Now, regarding audio codecs, if you're an Android user, the Crusher ANCs have aptX support, whereas the Sonys have aptX HD and LDAC support. But it's very important to keep in mind that the Sonys will only take advantage of those higher quality audio codecs if you use them with their stock EQ. If you use these headphones with a custom EQ, they're going to automatically revert back to SBC, whereas the Crushers are going to use aptX no matter what. But the Sonys will use AAC no matter what EQ you use if you're an iPhone user. But now let's talk about listening to music with these headphones, because they're very different. Like I mentioned earlier, these headphones are for bass heads, and the Sony XB900N have way more bass than your normal pair of headphones. They're going to rattle your head a little bit, and they're going to allow you to feel your music. But the Crusher ANCs have way more head-rattling bass than the Sonys do. It's not even close. The Crusher ANCs are like having two subwoofers tied to your head. They're very fun to use, and if you're really a bass head, then these are the headphones to get. But like I've mentioned in the past, all of this excess bass does get old after a while. Now obviously, you don't have to use these headphones with their bass feature turned on, but you do have more control over how the Sonys sound compared to the Crushers. With the Sonys, you have full control over their EQ settings, and you can even have different EQ settings for different listening situations. So you can make them sound however you want. Whereas with the Crushers, all you can really do is just adjust the amount of bass you want using the slider. Because even though these headphones have an optimal EQ feature, personally, I just wish Skullcandy would just give us manual control over the EQ settings on these headphones. So if you're someone that likes a lot of bass in your music, but you also plan on using your headphones to regularly watch movies, listen to podcasts, or even listen to audiobooks, then I recommend the Sonys because of their more versatility. Because with the Crushers, all of that extra bass is really just fun when you're listening to music, and not so much in other situations. But a major reason why I just don't recommend the Crusher ANCs for watching movies with, other than their uncomfortable fit, is that they have a constant hissing in the background. Constant hissing that just isn't acceptable for a pair of $320 headphones. Now, this constant hissing is very noticeable, especially during a quiet scene in a movie or during a TV series. Now, obviously, you won't hear this hissing when you're listening to music with these headphones, but nonetheless, hissing on these headphones just isn't acceptable. Now, when it comes to controlling your music playback, the Crusher ANCs are using physical buttons, while the XB900Ns have a touchpad. Now, all of this comes down to personal preference, but the touchpad on the Sonys is very decent and accurate, and easy to use once you get used to it. But if you just prefer physical buttons, then the Crusher ANCs have your back. But a major critique I have about the control buttons on these headphones is that they feel very mushy. And like I said in the full review, mushy feeling buttons on a pair of $320 headphones just isn't cool. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation and ambient mode on these headphones, because even though these headphones are meant for bass heads, it's really nice to have both of these features. It just makes both of these headphones more versatile. Now, the active noise cancellation on both of these headphones is okay, but it's not going to stack up compared to the Sony 1000 XM3s, which are currently the gold standard. Both of these headphones block out a good amount of constant low frequency sounds like road noise, which shouldn't be a problem for a decent pair of ANC headphones, but they do struggle to block out random higher frequency sounds like chatter. But so that you can see for yourself, we're going to jump into an ANC test.
Noise cancelling on.
Like you may have just seen, the active noise cancellation on both of these headphones performs relatively the same. But the Sonys did manage to block out a little more road noise and a little more chatter, but just a little bit. But more importantly, the active noise cancellation on the Sonys has noticeably less cabin pressure than the Crusher ANCs. With the Crusher ANCs, you do feel a little bit of pressure on your eardrums if you're not playing music or if you're watching Netflix with these headphones with ANC turned on. Whereas with the Sonys, you barely feel anything. So for that reason, I do think the Sony XB900N have slightly better active noise cancellation over the Crusher ANCs. Now, both of these headphones also have an ambient mode, where you can make your headphones pump in all of these surrounding sounds around you, so you can still be aware of your environment, even while you're wearing your headphones. And an ambient mode is very useful for when you're walking around the city, or even for when you're watching Netflix at home. But objectively, the ambient mode on the Sonys is better than on the Crusher ANCs, because you can adjust how much noise you want to let in. Now, this isn't a huge deal, but I thought I should point it out. But nonetheless, the ambient mode on both of these headphones sounds natural, but again, keep in mind, the Crusher ANCs are still going to have that constant hissing in the background. But something the Sony XB900Ns have that the Crusher ANCs don't is quick attention. If you fully cover the touchpad on these headphones, they'll automatically lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you so that you can quickly talk to someone without having to take your headphones off, like this. And then, when you let go of the touchpad, the headphones will go back to normal. So yeah, quick attention is great for like a quick conversation with a cashier or stewardess. So with all of that being said, if you're a basshead trying to choose between the Sony XB900N and Skullcandy Crusher ANC, the smart and responsible choice is going with the Sony XB900N. They cost significantly less than the Crusher ANCs, their active noise cancellation is slightly better, mainly because they have less cabin pressure, you have full control over their EQ settings, and they fit much better so you can comfortably wear them for hours on end and use them to watch movies with. But if you're really serious about your bass, then the Skullcandy Crusher ANCs are the way to go. Even though they're not the most comfortable headphones out there, their active noise cancellation is just okay, and the constant hissing in the background is incredibly annoying. These headphones just offer a completely different listening experience that the Sonys just can't come close to matching. These headphones will literally rattle your head and make your teeth chatter, but still sound good doing so. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.